Good morning to everyone. Today our topic is the verb. We have already discussed the noun, the pronoun, and the adjective. And as I said earlier, today we'll learn about the verb. That is the next part of the speech. A verb tells or asserts something about a noun. It is generally known that a verb tells us about an action, but it may tell us some other things too. A verb can be called the heart of a sentence, as there cannot be a sentence without a verb. But there can be a sentence with only a verb in it. For example, come, stand, leave, and many others. A verb may tell us, number one, what a noun does. This form is called the dynamic verb. For example, a teacher teaches students. The verb teaches tells us about the action done by a teacher. Second, a verb may tell us the state in which a noun is. For example, a deep moat surrounds the fort. The verb surrounds does not denote any action, but the static form of the moat. Third, a verb may also tell what a noun is. That is the state of being of a noun. For example, mother is happy. The verb is tells us about the state of being of the noun mother. Number 4, a verb may also denote possession, means what a noun has. For example, an octopus has 8 arms. The next is the kinds of the verb. There are two major kinds of the verbs, the principal verb and the auxiliary verb. The principal verb has two kinds. They are transitive verb and intransitive verb. The auxiliary verb has three kinds, and these are primary auxiliary verb, modal auxiliary verb, and the third one is semi-modal auxiliary verb. Before we discuss the kinds of the verb in detail, let's understand what is the object. Because to understand the object is quite necessary to know the kinds of the principal verbs properly. An object is a noun that receives the action expressed by the verb. The object is a part of a predicate in a sentence. Let us see these examples. Tulip eats nutritious food. The word food receives the action expressed by the verb eats. Thus, food is the object in this sentence. To know the object, we may ask these questions. Verb plus what? Or verb plus whom? Let's understand it properly. See, in this sentence, eats what? If we ask a question, eats what? The word food here forms the answer. So it is clear that food is the object. The other example is Tulip loves his parents. The noun parents receives the action denoted by the verb loves. Hence, parents is the object here. Also, if we ask the question, loves whom? Answer is parents. This way also it is clear that the noun parents is the object in this example. The object may be direct or indirect. Let's see how. The direct object is a noun that directly receives the action denoted by the verb. Just like the following examples, Miss Singh teaches geography. Teaches what? The answer is geography. So, geography is the object here. Next example is father bought an umbrella. Bought what? Umbrella. So, umbrella is the direct object in this example. Indirect object. It is the noun that receives the direct object. I repeat, direct object, but not the action directly. Let's discuss the examples. Number 1, he gave me a bouquet of roses. So, to know the direct object, ask the question, gave what? A bouquet of roses. So, a bouquet of roses is the direct object here. And the word me tells us who received the bouquet of roses. Thus, me is the indirect object here. Next example, Miss Singh teaches us geography. Teaches what? Geography. Geography is the direct object. And who receives the teaching of geography? The answer is us. Hence, us is the indirect object. Now, when we have understood what is an object, the direct as well as the indirect object also, let's understand and let's start with the kinds of the verb. Principal verb. It is also called the main verb or the lexical verb. It shows the action or the state of being of the subject. Examples: Advik represents his school in the quiz. The second example is the thirsty crow quenched its thirst. The words represents and quenched are the principal verbs in these sentences. Some other examples of the principal verbs are sleep, wake, go, come, give, sing, take, dance, and consult, etc. The main verb can be transitive or intransitive. A transitive verb always requires an object to make a complete sense. A mason builds a house. If we consider this sentence without the object a house as a mason builds, it would not be able to convey a complete sense. But it conveys a complete sense when the object a house is added to it. A mason builds a house. In the second example, if we do not add the object the jug, the sentence cannot convey the complete meaning. The waiter broke the jug conveys a complete sense. Hence, it is clear that builds and broke are used transitively in these sentences. A verb that makes a complete sense by itself without an object is known as intransitive verb. Let's have a look at the examples. The car stopped. The soldiers walked fast. The baby is smiling. In these sentences, the verbs stopped, walked, and smiling do not require any object to complete their sense, to convey a complete meaning. Hence, these are intransitive verbs. The next kind of the verbs is auxiliary verb. It helps the principal verb to form tense, mood and voice. This is why they are also called helping verbs. For example, you must see that waterfall. Do you like this laptop? They are taking their dinner. The auxiliary verb has three kinds. Let's discuss them in detail. The first kind of the auxiliary verb is the primary auxiliary verb. It is used to modify the other verbs in a full verb phrase. Does he go to the school daily? The Saturn was discovered in 1610. I have bought a new xylophone. Does, was and have are the primary auxiliary verbs in these sentences, as they modify the main verbs go, discovered and bought respectively. There are three primary auxiliaries in English language. They are be, have and do. Is, are, am, was and were are the different forms of the primary auxiliary verb be. Has, have and had are the different forms of have, while do, does and did are the forms of do. The primary auxiliaries can be used as the principal verbs also. The second kind of the auxiliary verbs is modal auxiliary verb. It expresses the different moods of the subject like permission, wish, suggestion and prohibition, etc. In the following sentences, you should try some new dishes. I might go to the mall after school, and it would be great if a rainbow appears. Should, might and would express suggestion, possibility and wish respectively. We have 6 modal auxiliaries in English language, and these are can, may, will, shall, must and ought to. Semi-modal auxiliary verbs are called semi-modals because they function partially like main verbs and partially like modal auxiliaries. These are 3 in number: dare, need and used to. In the following sentences, they function like modal auxiliaries. First example is need I go to the market later. Second, she used to live in New York. Third one is they dare not speak the truth. The semi-modal auxiliaries are need, used to and dare. Now listen to some other sentences. I do not need your advice. Do they dare to speak the truth? She is used to cleanliness. In these sentences, the auxiliaries need, dare and used to behave like the principal verbs. Let's take a quick recap of today's topic before I end the class. We learned about the verb, its meaning, definition, kinds, and we also understood the object. The verb tells about an action, state, or possession of a noun. The principal verb and the auxiliary verb are the two main kinds of the verb. Principal verb has transitive verb and the intransitive verb as its two kinds. Primary auxiliary verb, modal auxiliary verb, and semi-modal auxiliary verb are the three kinds of the auxiliary verbs. We also learned that the object is the noun that receives the action expressed by the verb. It can be direct as well as indirect. With this, today's class comes to an end. Bye. Stay home, stay safe, and enjoy online learning.